Jim, admit that 13,099 murders have been led into this country. That's
Corey,
4 murderers for every single county in America. You don't think that that's a problem? But Jim, you just said that was a false number. How do you get to that? What data do you have that says Customs and Border Protection is wrong? Jim, which facts are you going to go with? Are you going to go with some of the facts from CBP or all the facts from CBP? Which ones are you going with?
Well, we're going with the facts, Corey. The service thwarted the second one. They thwarted
Jimmy took a bullet in the ear.
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. Quick one today. We have got senior advisor to the Trump campaign and former campaign manager Corey Lewandowski absolutely cooking Jim Acosta of CNN, who is one of Trump's most notorious haters. This has to be one of the most pathetic attempts I have ever seen to try and smear Trump, and it shows how desperate the mainstream media are to conjure up a narrative. And towards the end, Acosta is genuinely stumped and lost for words, and Lewandowski is just toying with him. So let's get into the first bit where Acosta tries to desperately cling to a 3-second clip from the debate between Waltz and Vance, rather than addressing the calamity that was Tim Waltz's performance and entire political career.
Let's get right into this. Last night, Senator Vance refused to answer whether Trump lost the 2020 election. Let's listen to that.
I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
Yeah, Corey, why is this so difficult for the Trump campaign to answer? I mean, it's 2024. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election? Can you answer that?
Jim, I think it's very simple. The American people have passed the 2020 election. They're focused on an election which is just under 5 weeks away. And what we have an opportunity to do now is to talk about 2 different visions for America. And what J.D. Vance laid out last night is a very different vision than what Tim Walz and Kamala Harris want to say. So, look, we can go back and relitigate the 2020 election, or we can look at what we can do to make America better for the everyday Americans who are struggling under Bidenomics.
Yeah,
they're struggling
Corey,
under...
It's not relitigating. It's just a simple question. Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election? I mean, that's an easy
Jim,
one.
why are we talking about 2020 anymore? Does the American people care about the 2020 election anymore, or do they care about being able to put food on their table, gas in their car, home heating oil?
I think one reason why it's coming up, Corey, is because the former president has said on the campaign trail repeatedly that there was all this widespread fraud in 2020. That was not the case. And he's also teeing up the same kinds of challenges after this election. It hasn't even happened yet. So it is a very relevant
Jim,
question.
we know there was fraud. There's no question there was some fraud that took place in the 2020 election. There's no question about that.
Fraud.
What does widespread mean, Jim? Is one vote that's illegal enough? Or how many do you determine is widespread? What is that number?
There were instances of voter fraud from Trump supporters. I mean, you know that from the 2020 campaign. But
and you're saying there was none on the other side, Jim?
I mean, I'm sure there was, but Corey, I mean, every expert, people from inside the Trump administration who have come out since then have said, no widespread voter fraud. And
but
I guess
what
the
does
question
widespread mean, Jim? Why are we focusing on 2024 is my question.
Okay, so I guess what you're saying is that Donald Trump did not lose the 2020 election. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is Joe Biden is the president of the United States. You recognize that, and I recognize that. But let's talk about the 2024 election, which is less than 5 weeks away, and let's look at the 2 visions for America that these 2 candidates have.
Will Donald Trump honor the results of the 2024 election? Will he do that?
Jim, did Hillary Clinton honor the results? No. Did Democrats honor the results?
Yes, she did. She called and conceded the election. Corey, I was with you guys on election night in Manhattan.
She said the election was stolen. She said there was Russian interference. Members of this network said that the Steele dossier was true.
She called the then president-elect and conceded the election.
Jim, why are we talking hypotheticals? Why aren't we talking about the policy matters that matter to the American people?
I know, but Corey, it's a simple question.
That have poured across this country. Jim, why are we talking about the 13,000 murderers who've been led into this country under the Biden-Harris-Walz administration? Let's talk about things that people care about. Let's talk about the crippling economy. You want to talk about a hypothetical in 5 weeks from now. I'm talking about every single day right now.
So this is already not going well for Acosta whatsoever, and it's about to get a whole lot worse. And honestly, after what we saw at the VP debate the other night, the fact that they're now going back and trying to re-litigate and rehash things from the 2020 election says it all. And that is because Kamala Harris and Tim Walz have no vision or plan moving forward. Everybody knows it. They suck. And they are just aggressively uninspiring.
I can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know? What can be unburdened by what has been. 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 What we can see, what we believe can be, unburdened by what has been.
And if the cucked mainstream media had even a bit between their teeth about a vision moving forward or something from the debate the other night where they could jump on Vance or where they could try and highlight something great that Tim Walz said, then they would surely do so. But it appears as though they are stuck with the scraps. And this whole argument is not even a good argument because it's just so unbelievably hypocritical. From my memory, the Clinton campaign and the entire mainstream media, CNN being the worst proponents of this, were trying to smear Donald Trump as some sort of a Russian agent for years until they were unequivocally proved wrong, or actually unequivocally proved to be lying.
Vladimir Putin himself directed the covert cyber attacks against our electoral system, against our democracy, apparently because he has a personal beef against me.
Do you believe Trump is a legitimate president?
What I believe is that there's no question that the outcome of this election was affected by the Russian interference with the campaign, and because our intelligence community has unequivocally stated that Russia's intent was to influence the outcome of the election in favor of Donald Trump. But I think there's no question that the outcome of this election was affected by Russian interference with the campaign, no doubt.
The amount of gaslighting that comes from these guys trying to claim that Trump is a big threat to democracy is absolutely absurd. They are the ones on the side of the people who are trying to censor the American public, who are trying to take away people's free speech. Many different examples of this. And their side is the ones that are for taking away the right to bear arms, the Second Amendment, one of the greatest privileges that American people have. And actually, it's not their candidate that's taken a bullet for the country. It's not their candidate who, on 2 different occasions, has had unhinged nut jobs trying to murder them. So let's watch the rest of the debate now, with Jim Acosta just completely crumbling and starting to feel the burn of the cognitive dissonance in his worldview. Notice how desperate his talking points are here. But before we get there, guys, don't forget to smash that like button if you enjoy my content, and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's get into it.
Let's talk about immigration. All right, last night, J.D. Vance said immigrants have, quote, destroyed Americans' lives in Springfield before having his mic cut. But all of this got started when Trump falsely claimed at last month's debate that Haitian migrants were eating pets. The governor of Ohio, the mayor of Springfield, have both come out and said this is not true. Corey, can you say that Haitian migrants are not eating pets in Springfield? Can you say that?
You know what I can say, Jim? I can say that 13,099 murderers were let into this country, 16,000 rapists, 425,000 people in the last 4 years have been let into this country by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's own Customs and Border Protection that are running around this country, Jim.
The other thing, too, it's Kamala Harris.
Crimes.
I don't know. Why do you guys say Kamala? That is, it's Kamala Harris.
Jim, we know that they're committing crimes against Americans. Why can't these individuals talk about the individuals who've been killed by illegal immigrants? 13,099 murderers have been let into this country by this administration's own accounting, and you guys don't want to talk about it. To put that in perspective,
Corey, we talk about
viewers,
immigration all the time. We talk about this all the time.
Jim, admit that 13,099 murders have been let into this country. That's 4 murderers for every single county in America. You don't think that that's a problem?
Border crossings are down and crime is down in this country. But
crime is not down in this country. The FBI
I asked you at the beginning of this
that.
interview, did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election? I just asked you whether Haitian migrants are eating dogs and cats in Springfield. You won't admit the truth on either of those questions. I want to ask you about something that
13,000 murderers have come into the country.
13,000 number is false, by the way. The 13,000 number is false.
Why is it false, Jim? If the government's own data says that, CBP's own data put this out last week. So why do you say it's false if the government put out? By the way, this is the Biden-Harris administration who put out.
The government also says border crossings are down.
But Jim, you just said that was a false number. How do you get how do you get to that? What data do you have that says Customs and Border Protection is wrong?
Yeah, I also want to ask you about something that Trump said.
No, but Jim, you just said it was wrong.
That is over several administrations, Corey. That number is over several administrations.
How many?
Corey, why don't you tell me, since you seem to have command of that fact?
I have command of what they put out, which is 13,099 murderers have been let into this country. That is a fact.
But the administration has also said that border crossings are down. Isn't that also true?
Well, Jim, which facts are you going to go with? Are you going to go with some of the facts from CBP or all the facts from CBP? Which ones are you going with?
Well, we're going with the facts, Corey. I don't know about you, but I do want to ask you about something Trump said at a campaign stop in Milwaukee last night. He apparently confused the leaders of North Korea and Iran. Let's listen to this.
We had planned an outdoor rally, and it would have been amazing, and Washington would not get us. They said that we have to guard the United Nations, which meant the president of North Korea, who's basically trying to kill me. So they want to guard him, but they don't want to guard me.
Yeah, Corey, what is the former president talking about there? Why is he getting confused about that?
Well, I think the president was he meant to say the president of Iran, which is trying to kill him. We know there are credible threats against this president. We know that for sure. It has been widely publicized. And we know that until recently, this administration refused to give him the Secret Service protection that he should have been entitled to. And that's why there have been 2 attempted assassinations on his life. So, look, we need to do a better job as a government.
The Secret Service thwarted the second one. They thwarted
Jimmy
the
took
second
a bullet in the ear. He took a bullet in the ear because the U.S. Secret Service wasn't communicating with the people on the ground. Don't you think that is an epic failure? And when additional resources were asked for, but Jim, additional resources were asked for from the campaign, and they were denied by this administration until this man took a bullet for this country. I think that's an epic failure, and it goes to show you the politics of the top of the administration, whether it's Mayorkas or it's Kamala or it's Joe Biden. Donald Trump should have had additional resources.
What is this Kamala? It's Kamala Harris. Corey, you've been in this business a long time. I think you're a mature grown-up. It's Kamala Harris. Can you just say, can you say Kamala, or you cannot say Kamala?
Jim, can you admit 13,099 murders have come into the country? You say you haven't.
Well, Corey, I appreciate you coming on. Maybe we'll have you back. Thanks for your time.
That was really funny. Very satisfying stuff. And you can really see the CNN playbook here. Okay, guys, so we're in a pickle here. We don't have much after that debate. We need something. So let's go and ask the guests if Donald Trump lost the election. And don't accept any nuance whatsoever. And then when that fails, ask if there are people eating pets in Ohio. And then somewhere along the way, gaslight the guest and the entire public by lying about crime statistics. And then when they call you out on it, don't back up the claims. What you got to do is you just got to give a smug look and try and move on. And then we're going to find a random clip of Trump making a tiny error. And then when all else fails, try and make them look rude by pronouncing Kamala Harris's name wrong. Truly, truly pathetic stuff there by CNN, but really you just love to see it. So I just thought I'd share that one with you today, guys. You can find my links all below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel right here if you haven't already, and if you'd like to watch another one, right here. Till next time, I'm Jake. This is RattlesnakeTV, keeping you armed and dangerous.